This is the number one thing that transformed my life. When I introduce myself to people, and they ask me what I do, it's a very interesting question because it doesn't matter really what I do, it matters who I am as a human. Welcome to Miami. Whatever comes to my mind at that moment. How do I use my professional career? Because every single kid, like I was in the Bronx yesterday speaking to a bunch of kids, 90% of the boys want to be NFL and NBA players. Have you guys ever seen that? Every kid's like, yes, I'm going to be an NFL player. I'm like, what's your second career? And they're like, NBA? I'm like, what's your third career? And they're like, NHL? And I'm like, awesome, what's your fourth career? Non-sports athlete. And they look at me and they have no clue. And so I ask them, let's game plan how you get from where you're at to where you want to go. So I want you in the middle of the piece of paper to put a line, very simple. Just a line. And on top of the line, I want you to put doing. And on the bottom of the line, I want you to put being. Now what I found is this is the number one thing that transformed my life. When I introduce myself to people, and they ask me what I do, it's a very interesting question because it doesn't matter really what I do, it matters who I am as a human. But a lot of people aren't getting to that level. For instance, I'm thankful and grateful because 2 months ago, Dave Van Hoos, Tony Horton, and a bunch of other big names were on my podcast, and I just made #2 in the country for business. And so, thank you. Because of Ryan, we filmed about 15 podcasts at the last City Summit, and it shot up. And I'm like, how did I get to #2 this quick? I've only had 14 episodes. And so we beat the Wall Street Journal 3 months into it. And so it's amazing because how do you build your brand? So what I started off, my TED Talk is called Significance Breeds Success. My podcast is called Significance Breeds Success. In America, we're told to be successful. Go make the money, go get the cars, get the house. And then we wonder why we're not fulfilled. A lot of my mentors are wealthy, they have 65,000 square foot houses and jets and everything else, and they wonder why their kids are on drugs. So it's interesting to be able to create a context for life, which is the significance is number one, and on top of that, then that's going to breed my success. So as a foundational piece, when you see doing and being, for me, it's about who I get to be. Somebody brought it up earlier, one of the speakers, I am. And so my goal is for you to write below it 3 characteristics that define yourself with I am on top. So I am, for instance, mine is I am authentic, loving, and committed. Because that's how I get to show up every day. That's how I get to show up my team. And if I'm off context or out of alignment with my way of being, then my team can call me on it, they can kick my ass, and it's okay. And then I'll rethink who I get to show up as. Now, has anybody ever done I am statements before? A few people? Awesome. So there's probably like maybe 10 people in the room that have done it. Now think about this. Our kids are growing up today in a society where they have no clue about who they really are. They've never defined themselves, except for by their grades, their IQ. IQ doesn't matter anymore. Everything we have on our cell phone. You can learn everything you learn in school today on your cell phone. But they have no clue what their emotional intelligence is. They have no clue how to love themselves because they don't even understand themselves in the beginning. On the top, I want you to put what you do. If you're a lawyer, you're a speaker, that sort of thing. And in the middle, between the doing and the being, I want you to put your why. Anybody ever heard of Simon Sinek? So I find that the why is what you stand for. It's the purpose behind what you drive. But if you don't understand who you are, how are you going to find your why? How are you going to stick to your why when the circumstances and your feelings overcome your real purpose? Anybody ever gotten angry in here? Angry? Okay. Question for you. What's your name? Mike. Mike, thanks. So did they make you angry, or did you let yourself get angry?
Let myself get angry.
Okay. He let himself get angry. So I find there's 4 answers that I get. A lot of people like to blame other people and say they made me angry. A lot of people, I'd say about 25% say, I let myself get angry, taking accountability. The next two are the ones that actually make me really think about our society today. It's a little bit of both, so you really can't choose or make a decision. And the 4th one is the most interesting, where they're like, I don't know. That's the belief system in the context of what we're living in today. So if we don't choose to actually live by our way of being every single day, then what are we doing? How are we showing up to work? How are we showing up for our family, our friends? And what does it get us at the end of the day? And I find that this defines people's brains. This defines how people set their personal brand and their corporate brand.